In this question, I'm going to show you how to convert between fractions, decimals and percentages. So the first row of the table is concentrating on starting with a decimal. So I'm going to put this decimal into a place value grid. So we've got 0.07. Now I'm going to label the headings in this place value grid. So we're going to have the ones column, we're going to have the tenths column, and we're going to have the hundredths column. Now we have to look at the last digit and what column that is in. So this here is actually 7 hundredths. It's 7 hundredths because it's 7 in the hundredths column. If I just have a go at a different one, if it was 0.37, it would be 37. Again, the last digit is in the hundredths column, so it'd be 37 out of 100. Okay? But we're focusing on the red one at the moment, so we've got 7 over 100. I may need to simplify that. I don't here because there's nothing that goes into 7 and 100. Now, to turn it into a percentage, percent literally means out of 100. So all I need to do is make sure that my fraction is out of 100, which at this moment it already is. It's out of 100. It's 7 out of 100, which is the same as 7%. So whatever the numerator is, if it's out of 100, that's your percentage. Okay, the second row. So we're now going to have a look at 35%. And like I've already said, percent means out of 100. So that's 35 out of 100. Now before I go any further, I can now, because it's out of 100 or divided by 100 or divided by 10 or divided by 1,000, I can use my place value table. So remember, 35 out of 100 means 35 divided by 100 because a fraction is a division. So I get my place value table and I draw in 35. I don't need any headings for this. Remember, your decimal point does not move. I'm dividing by 100, so the 3 is going to move, divide by 10, divide by 100. The 3 is going to move to here. I need to put the 0 before. So my answer is 0.35. That's as a decimal. Now I'm going to go back to this bit. Now the reason that I didn't write this straight away in the fraction box was because it can be simplified. So 35 out of 100, I need to think of the biggest number that goes into both. And the biggest number that goes into both is going to be 5. Now if you needed to work that out, you could have done little factor pairs. 1 times 35, 2 doesn't go into it, 3 doesn't go into it, 4 doesn't go into it, 5 times 7, 6 doesn't go into it, 7 would be repeating ourselves, 100, 1 times 100, 2 times 50, 3 doesn't go into it, 4 times 25, 5 times 20, 6 doesn't, 7 doesn't, 8 doesn't, 9 doesn't, 10 times 10. So you can see that the biggest one that goes into both is 5. So that's why I need to divide the top and bottom of my fraction by 5. And I get 7 over 20. So the answer for this bit would actually be 7 over 20. So I've cleared some space so we can look at our last question, which was 3/5. And again, I need to turn it into a decimal percentage. Now to turn it into decimal, I need to be able to use my place value table. So I need to get it to be either over 10 or over 100. Now for purposes of finding a percentage later, I'm going to get it to over 100 at the moment. So how do I get from 5 to 100? So 5 times what is 100? Do it backwards. 100 divided by 5 is 20. I could have used bus stop if I needed to there. Times by 20 on the bottom. Times by 20 on the top. I get 60. So 60 out of 100. That is telling me my percentage straight away. That's 60%. 60 out of 100. So I can fill that one in already. Now 60 out of 100. I can now use this in my place value table because 60 out of 100 is the same as saying 60 divided by 100. So when I get my place value table and I put in my 60 decimal point, which doesn't move, and it's dividing by 100, so let's move the 6, divided by 10, divided by 100. The 6 is going to go here. I need a 0.4. I don't actually need the 0 after it. It's not going to be 0.60, it's just going to be 0.6. They mean the same thing. So my answer is 0.6.